Once again, welcome to 10 Minute History, where I discuss a history topic in 10 minutes or less. Our topic today is going to be on Elizabeth McClelland, or as she's better known, Little Casino. Um, Probably one of the most prominent women of the early days of the Dakota Territory, alongside the likes of Linda Slaughter. Um, she was the owner of one of the most prominent and well-known brothels in Bismarck's history. Let's see. So, born Elizabeth Jenkins, she went by the aliases both Elizabeth McClelland and Ida Lewis. Um, Not much is known about her life before Bismarck, but in 1873, she would step foot into the dangerous frontier town of Edmonton. Um, a newspaper at the time would describe it as one of the wickedest cities of the West. Um, Not too long after, it would be renamed Bismarck. At this particular point in time, Bismarck, or Edmonton, as it was known then, half the buildings were either saloons and the other half were brothels. So it was your Wild West, standard Wild West town. It was pretty wild. They even had a part of town known as Bloody Fourth, where it was known for gunfights to take place. So during this time, you have Little Casino making her mark into this town, and immediately kind of starts buying up real estate and sets up a brothel on 701 East Front Avenue. Nowadays it's known as the Bismarck Tribune building, but back then it was basically her most established brothel. So her calling card was the Deuce of Spades. It was said that she always had one playing card on her at all times to give as a business card. Um, she was often described as a tiny, demure woman wearing elegant, conservative clothing. She really did nothing to really attract attention to herself when she did her work, although she would often appear in court to bail out her employees. Most of what we know about her is because the Bismarck Tribune would duly report every time she made a court appearance. Um, so, like I said, her most well-known place of business would be 701 Front Avenue, um, and it was kind of the talk of the town, and not even in a bad way. It was kind of considered an emporium for Bismarck, almost a tourist attraction. Guests would literally, when they would visit, would get the cut off tassels found as decor in the brothel and take them home as souvenirs. A lot of her success really came down to the fact that she was a very smart businesswoman, but she also just was really brilliant in kind of picking the perfect place to put a brothel. Like I said, this was your Wild West frontier town, and at this time you had it was a steamboat landing going down to the Black Hills. The 7th Cavalry was just across the river at this time at Station at Fort Lincoln. But you also had during this time the Northern Pacific Railway. The Northern Pacific Railway just fighting hard to bring homesteaders here. It would take some time, but this would eventually lead to the influx of German Russian immigrants that would immigrate into this area. So you had so many things going on here that just made this the perfect place of business for someone like a Little Casino. But she was also a prominent business owner of Bismarck. She had purchased various lots all around town. She was a known investor of the First National Bank of Bismarck, a major business venture whose investors and founders would include the likes of Asa Fisher, a prominent business owner who was the original owner of the historic former governor's mansion. When Bismarck was in the bid to become the capital of Dakota Territory, Little Casino would actually donate $1,200 to the bidding to make Bismarck the capital of Dakota Territory. Funny enough, she asked that her name not be attached to it, so it was never official. But there are records that show that she gave a lot of money to helping establish Bismarck as the capital of the city. Um, Alongside that, she was known for being quite charitable. One of the best examples would that be she would often work with the Presbyterian Reverend Sloan, giving regular donations to him to kind of help the needy. Um, Now, in 1875, an ordinance would pass targeting houses of ill fame. Um, Over 10 persons of interest would be indicted in a grand jury as a result, all pleading not guilty. Casino, however, was far more savvy. She took the guilty plea, paying a mere $100 fine in comparison to the bonds and fees her fellow madams would face. She would immediately go back to business and start up as usual once more. Um, Ultimately, it was mortgage foreclosure that actually put Little Casino out of business. She lost all her properties in mortgage foreclosure and eventually moved to Wilton. She would establish a homestead there and owned a casino known as no, not casino, the coal mine known as the Casino Coal Mine. Um, she would live out there, operate the coal mine, and she lived there until she reportedly passed away. According to obituary, she would have passed away on September 16th, 1916, at age 76. Her obituary reported that she suffered a stroke of paralysis. Her headstone is still found up there at a Riverside Cemetery, and it reads, "Gone but not forgotten. Ye without sin cast the first stone." So yeah, that's the most that it's known about her for the most part. Outside of there's not a whole lot written about her, unfortunately. Most of what we know about her pretty much comes from the newspaper clippings. Um, but it's always interesting, kind of going through that and kind of sorting the fact from the folklore. So, at this point, we've kind of reached the end of my lecture, and I pass anyone who is watching right now. I pass it on to you. Do you have any questions about the topic? And I'll try my best to answer those questions. Um, if there's anyone in the chat who has anything they'd like to ask, please let me know. All right. If there's not any questions, I guess we'll call it. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, we can stay consistent with this. I have a bunch of topics I have ready for the next several weeks. I'm up for answering any questions if people are more willing to answer questions down the line. But with that, we will call it. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you next time.